It just got very real as we have new reports on a reunion with former Rockets guard Russell Westbrook, who is still currently a free agent. We get you the latest news on the situation and if a signing would be right for the Houston Rockets. Welcome into Rockets Digest, everybody. I'm your host, Jace Andrews. We do appreciate you tuning into the show today. And yes, it is true, Russell Westbrook is still currently a free agent across the NBA, and reports are now coming out again saying that a reunion with the Rockets would be a good move for both sides. But before we get into those reports, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on 5,200, but I tell you what, that's close. Let's go for 5,250 and get a fourth of a way to 6,000. Obviously, we got a bunch of stuff coming up this season, and if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be in the know about every single Rockets update. Let's talk about the report today saying the Rockets must consider a reunion with former superstar point guard, that being, of course, Russell Westbrook. And interestingly enough, there has been a lot of talk about Russell Westbrook as of late on social media for a couple of different reasons. One, because he is still not signed. Secondly, because a couple of years ago he was putting up some all-NBA level stats. Yes, last year wasn't as great, but still, the potential is really seen across the league. And now we're having these new reports saying that there's a potential that when the season starts, Russell Westbrook is not signed to a contract. It's really kind of a crazy thing to think about. I mean, Russ has been in the NBA for basically my entire life in some aspects, so not having him in the league would be very, very interesting. And for the Rocket situation, you're thinking about the guards you have on the depth chart, the little bit of money you do have left that could sign to a vet minimum, especially if he does go into the season without a contract, that becomes even less. There's a lot of things you can be able to do with that, so a reunion actually is kind of a better idea than you probably think it is. That being said, let's go into the report kind of talking about Russell Westbrook and why exactly he is still unsigned and why he would be best fit for the Houston Rockets. We start with this report kind of talking about last year and why exactly he has not been signed yet. James Piercy of Space City Scoop with the report saying, quote, in 2024-2025, Westbrook had arguably his worst season. His negative 1.1 box plus minus left much to be desired. Still, he did average 13.3 points, 6.1 assists, and 4.9 rebounds per game. This is still a productive reserve. Is he better, though, than any of the options the Rockets have, end quote, because that is the one part about this. The Rockets technically do have one open roster spot, but in all reports that we're hearing, if Russell Westbrook is signed to the Houston Rockets, the Rockets are probably going to let go of one guard, whether it be via trade or kind of just, cutting them, basically letting them loose. And it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about and digest, but either way, Russell Westbrook had, again, one of his worst years in his entire career last year, and yet he still averaged 13.3 points and played for a team who nearly beat the defending champions in the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they took him to Game 7, and if it weren't for an Aaron Gordon injury, the potential was there for them to win Game 7 and take out OKC before they even got to the Western Conference Finals. Now, obviously, this is not the Russell Westbrook we saw when he played here in Houston, but it's still a valuable player. And for the Rockets, offense is definitely something that they wanted to improve upon in this offseason. And you could say that they already did, which is definitely true. We have this again from the report saying in terms of cumulative three-point accuracy, they have made major strides. Kevin Durant, who shot 43%, and Dorian Finney-Smith, who shot 41%, are replacing Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green, who both of them didn't shoot over 40%, and Jalen Green, in fact, shot almost nearly less than 35%. Now, of course, that's not to say that the Rockets are an elite shooting team. That is, in fact, not the truth at all. It is something addressed this summer, and some fans, I know a lot of people in the comments have been talking about how Dorian Finney-Smith, great contract, not saying anything bad about him or the contract, but maybe y'all would have rather had that money go to a ball handler, go to someone who can maybe run the point a little bit more than Fred VanVleet and having Aaron Holiday. Yes, Amen Thompson is a guard option. I understand that, but I like him more in the shooting guard position, at least for right now. When we get to the point guard role, that can be there, but I don't want to just throw him into the fire this season when it's just not the way I see that going. And so in that situation, what exactly are the best things? Well, Russell Westbrook is a pretty good type of thing. We continue because we talk about Aaron Holiday, and really the spot that he's taking is probably the one that Russell would have slotted into had Aaron Holiday not been here. And here it has quote, in theory, Aaron Holiday is the more suitable rotational guard. He shot 39.8% from deep last year, and he's a better defender. Yet, Holiday is less dynamic than Westbrook. Westbrook's ability to rebound will also help the Rockets triple down on what's already their biggest strength, end quote. And that's true, and kind of a double entendre in that quote there. The first part I see to it is that the better defender is Aaron Holiday, which we know from head coach Ime Udoka. You have to be a good defender to play on his team. You have to be that. He's not going to allow you to be out there and get solid minutes if you are not a good defender. Hence why Aaron Holiday was re-signed to a small deal, keeping him on this Rockets roster. That cannot be said for Russell Westbrook. He is not an elite defender by any means of the definition. But he does have very good rebounding skills, which the Rockets have been good at for the past couple years, especially last season with their offensive rebounding being the top of the league. So it's obviously a give and take of what exactly are the better qualities that you want. Obviously, Aaron Holiday is not the only guard out there because there's also Reed Sheppard, and that's what we go here. Quote, another reasonable apprehension about Westbrook pertains to Reed Sheppard. Will he block his path to success? Is it worth making another developmental sacrifice to pick up an extra win or two? End quote. And that really has to be made from the decision of Rafael Stone and the organizational standpoint. Russell Westbrook will probably help this team win more than Reed Sheppard, at least for a little bit. In that situation, is it worth it to acquire the extra couple wins, or is it more worth it to develop Reed Sheppard and let him go out there and play? However, we have had reports from inside the organization saying that if Reed Sheppard does not perform, he will not play. He will not go out there. And if he's not a good defender, he will not play. He will not go out there. So, the question I pose is, if Russell Westbrook, as reports say, is not going to have a contract going into this upcoming season, and Reed Sheppard is slow to start, why not bring him back? Why not allow him to come back and have a second shot with the Rockets? It was a small tenure here, but I believe that, him reuniting with Kevin Durant, it'd be a very big storyline as well, which is kind of the last point I want to make in all this. There is something to be said about ticket sales, and there is something to be said about the money that a Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook reuniting in Houston would bring to not only the brand, but the basketball team. Now, here's the final part of the article, which kind of emphasizes that point. So there are good reasons to avoid Westbrook, yet there are equally sound reasons to advocate for him. He'd give the Rockets another player who can create offense from the perimeter. They badly need that. More broadly, reunions are fun. Westbrook would also be reuniting with Kevin Durant, and that could make the Rockets a must-watch team if they aren't already. Ownership might see dollar signs, which is true. You're going to get a lot more ticket sales, a lot more views, a lot more of everything if you reunite with Kevin Durant and you reunite with Russell Westbrook and you have him go back with Kevin Durant as well. As much as that matters, the move has to make basketball sense. There has to be room in the rotation for Westbrook. And so I pose the question that I've been kind of asking to y'all a lot this year. Is this something that you would like to see? Is this a move that would be a good thing? Would you rather have Russell Westbrook out there taking some minutes, or would you rather see the development of Reed Sheppard and allow him to play the 15 to 20 minutes? That's where the question comes in here. Because I have been a big, advocate for the depth piece of the Rockets and trying to make them a dynasty more than a win-now team, which you can do both. But in this situation with Russell Westbrook, do you choose the long-term success and the dynasty-level choice of putting Reed Sheppard out there, keeping his minutes, allowing him to keep and continue to develop? Or do you pick Russell Westbrook, who will add to this team in a veteran aspect and will probably get you a couple extra wins more than Reed Sheppard would? That is the kind of overarching theme behind all of this, and really just the one that needs to be asked and needs to be answered, because Russell Westbrook would be a very fun player to have back in Houston. The depth chart is what it is. It's not the most perfect thing for the Houston Rockets when you talk about guards. Fred VanVleet is your starter. Reed Sheppard is your secondary. Past that, you have Aaron Holiday. Technically, there is Zaman Thompson who can come in there. And then, of course, the two-way contract and G League MVP J.D. Davidson is still there as well. It's an interesting question to pose. The answer, though, is probably a little bit worse for wear. If you have seen the way the Rockets have moved, and you have seen the way the Rockets have planned out their entire success of the season, or hopeful success of this season, then you probably know that Russell Westbrook, as fun as he would be, and I'm not putting out the, end-all be-all, I think in season, and if it's not going well, perfect dad. But I do not think the Rockets will pull any trigger until that season starts. They want to see what this team has, because I know they believe in the signings they made. They believe in the trades they made. And some people actually are coming out in reports saying that they don't believe the trade was a good move for the Rockets. Saying that Kevin Durant was not a good move. Well, the Rockets have to prove them wrong this season. And for that, we have to see some basketball being played. We cannot sit here and say that this will happen or that will happen without seeing what exactly this team has. And so for that reason, that's where I leave you. We appreciate each and every single one of you watching. As always, make sure you get in the comment section. I'm always listening to Houston Rockets Nation, checking out all the comments down there. I try and at least like or love all of them, but just want to let you know I'm always looking at them and reading them, and we appreciate every one of you who made it to the end of the video. Y'all are the real ones of Rockets Digest. But we're going to see you next time here on the channel. Peace out, guys.